Here we are. Dun. Oh, it's like, okay. It's like, what am I hearing? And then I realized, no, that's the live page going live. Almost ready to start. Just getting a few things put together right before we start. Okie dokie. person tuned in. Okay, let us get started. This is Pete's Tech Den, show number 28. It's filmed, I guess, broadcast on September 25th, 2015. This is a show where we talk about ways to take old tech, a lot of times old computers, and turn them into new projects and ways to do new and cool things with technology, and also just how to do cool things with technology cheaply without breaking the bank. And then occasionally we dive into moral issues that present themselves from the use of technology. Um, Tonight, there's been a couple of episodes earlier in the year where prior to the release of Windows 10, I talked a little bit about it um, with after getting a look at the preview, the technical preview of it, and kind of wanted to, I've been messing around with it and then just reading and listening to other people talk about it, in the weeks that came after its release on July 29th. And just kind of wanted to do one last kind of, I guess, hurrah on it. And kind of then move on. So that's what we're going to be focusing on tonight. Yes, I think it is a debacle. Just for a lot of the things, it just doesn't seem like the features are quite where they need to be to actually make them useful. Like, okay, to start it off, I wanted to talk about, you've probably seen Microsoft's been running this commercial on TV for, Windows Hello, the whole idea of that, we're not going to have to worry about passwords or, stress out about security in the future because of this feature, being able to authenticate through using our face, doing facial recognition, and while we will probably eventually move on to other ways of authentication from passwords, as we begin to look at things that are eventually there'll be something that replace it. You would think, although the thing that they I guess doesn't come out in the commercial is the fact that, well, you may be able to log onto your computer using facial recognition, but what about all the other places you have to type in a password for? And the whole idea that because of this we won't have to stress about security. Security is going to be something we're going to have to worry about pretty much to the end of the world. Because, as security measures get better and better, well, guess what? The hackers get better and better. The security problems get, better. They get better at what they're doing and find new holes, and there's always, we're always hearing about vulnerabilities and stuff, that are out there. And so, I don't know, to think that, this one thing is going to, solve all those problems, a little naive. Now, granted, they may not believe that inside the company, but still broadcasting that out to your your customers. I mean, I just I see it and I laugh because I think it's you know the message that it conveys is completely wrong. Um, so I mean, still makes for a good laugh, I guess. But I just kind of wanted to look at, I mean, some of the problems I think with Windows 10 because I think overall it down the road some of these features that they added, the big ones, will maybe nice features, but at the moment there's no for me there's no compelling reason to go to Windows 10. Um, 'Cause they big features they had were like multiple desktops, Cortana, Microsoft Edge. They brought back the start menu. Um, those were like the big like major like new features. Um, like okay, I just want to start with the first one. Let's work our way through it. With multiple desktops, I mean it's for me when I having a bunch of things open, it's really nice. Like just super nice, and I really like it on my Mac, which the computer I have. For one simple reason, the reason I like it better on a Mac than like I really don't use it even on a Linux machine. When I am working on it, because at work, I have a Linux machine. Um, or I don't think I would ever use it on a Windows either. I mean, just for the simple fact that the you for multiple desktops to be useful, you need to have a really super easy and natural way to switch between desktops. To make it super easy. Because otherwise there's you might as well just you know clutter up your desktop with a bunch of windows. Because if it's hard to switch between them, you're just not going to use it. At least that's what I found to be true for me. Um, and with a Mac, being able to just do the four finger swipe, um, on just switch back and forth between, or you can go four fingers up, and boom, you can see uh, all your desktops, and you can uh, you can pick which one you want to jump to, which makes it super easy. The one thing I was reading did see that I guess Windows has a leg up on is I think the Mac one maxes out at like 16 desktops, and the article I was reading, the guy said he's he couldn't find the end point, you know, the limit, and he had gotten up over, I think he was up, above 350 desktops, is what he said, which I don't know why anyone would ever need that many desktops. No, never. Maybe if you had multiple people running off of one centrally located computer, but those kind of systems aren't, you know, available, and they don't have anything like that where you could do that. Um, about the only thing that it can do, um, that the other ones can't. I mean, so I feel like I feel like it's one of those things. Like, you know, when it's one of those things that like you don't think about the difference in like how your trackpad works, but when for me working on a Mac, and I just love what they've done with their trackpad. Um, it makes a world of difference. Like, cause I mean, the only thing I found that where like a trackpad the best at there is when you're trying to do like detailed stuff with like graphical design, that kind of stuff. But for the most time, the daily stuff, you know, the power that they put in the trackpad, which currently Windows 10 doesn't have, doesn't really have. I mean, there's some of them that kind of have the scrolling on the little stripe on the, like on the side. Um, Occasionally I found ones that will do kind of a wonky two finger scroll. Um, but nothing that has quite the power of, the Mac trackpad, which, you know, some way to use the trackpad to interact with those multiple desktops. I feel like right now that's kind of the key to getting that to work well. Um, but yeah, another uh, another one of the big features that they brought out was Cortana, which Cortana's, I mean, it's nice. I think it's super interesting. Um, Interesting idea of bringing kind of that digital assistant to a desktop environment. I'm actually getting ready to work, try another one, a different one out. That's going to be coming to the Linux desktop. But that'll be another show. um, but the big thing with Cortana is like you can do kind of the stuff that you would like. I guess it's kind of the stuff that you would expect to be able to do on like a mobile device, like asking about the weather or like a schedule, or how long will it take me to get somewhere, directions. Guessing do notes or create an appointment or a reminder or alarms, or ask it questions about things where it may be able to do like a search or something. Uh, but like the things that I would want it to be able to, want it to be able to do on the desktop, it just can't do. Um, Cause I was thinking, when I first was trying it out, like the things that I wanted to be able to do were like be able to go, like, hey Cortana, uh, you know, shut down the computer. Because it would be great to be able to say, to be able to say, hey Cortana, shut down the computer and walk away and let it do the shutdown process. Um, or be working on something and be able to go like, hey Cortana, I need open such and such a program. So I feel like that's the ways that it could help with just making the interaction with the computer more natural. to be able to do some of those things would be really interesting. To where, um, you know, to be, where you could, because it would almost help them to replace the, the need for, like the start menu that they got rid of. Um, because a lot of what you're doing in the start menu is, like opening programs and stuff like that. So be able to do something where like you could just be like, hey Cortana, open this program, and then be able to continue to work, um, would would be really, I feel like would be really, really helpful. Like, I feel like if they did that, like it would give them a leg up on pretty much every other operating system. Because I think that would um, be super cool. I mean, or even things like, um, uh, or things like where you could say, like, hey Cortana, play such and such, or I'm just thinking like in kind of the things that I do in a work environment, like, um, like converting like files from like one format to another. Where if you could say, hey Cortana, could you you know convert this file to this format, like that would be super nice. Where you could actually give her like meaningful tasks that because I feel like the other ones it's like, well, they're nice, but I could probably get them done faster by just uh uh just as fast as if you're telling just as fast as if you're telling Cortana to do it. So I feel like it's another one of those features where it's like, again, it's an interesting feature, but it's just not quite to the point where it becomes really compelling to try and use it. To use it where it's like, oh, that's kind of cool, and it might be something I mess around with. Um, but I'm not going to really use it in like in real life. It's not something I'm going to use like all the time, kind of a thing. Um, so, and the other another one of the big ones that they had, next one on the list is Microsoft Edge, which is their new web browser, and I don't know what they were thinking when they you know named this, because it's like the first thing I think of is the initials ME. Which for most people brings you back to Windows ME. Windows Millennium, which was not uh, a good operating system. I mean, they've kind of been on this pattern of, like every other operating system. Um, every other operating system is good because, they had like Windows 98 was good, Windows ME was bad. Then you had Windows XP was good. Then you had Windows Vista, which was terrible. And then you had Windows 7, which was good. Then you had Windows 8 and 8.1, which were bad. And then you had, well, now you have Windows 10, which I feel has almost bucked the trend and just gone bad. Like, although, they talk about they're going to be pushing out, updates. So maybe when they push out that update 6 months, I'm thinking from now, I think they were going to be doing one like 3 and then 6. I think it may take a couple updates before, maybe if they add some of these functionalities, it'll be good. But okay, to get back to Microsoft Edge, it's an interesting as a web browser. I mean, I think it adds some kind of interesting features um, with like they added the ability with Cortana, which I think could be interesting down the road. The ability to take notes is kind of nice, and just in general, just cleaning up and kind of chopping out a bunch of stuff and just streamlined web browser is good and interesting. The problem is they still don't have extension support for it yet. Like, they haven't even gotten to developers, so the developers can start developing extensions. And I feel like in this day and age, with web browsers, extensions is kind of a make it or break it kind of a thing, um, which is a problem for them. I mean, I can tell you personally, extensions is why I originally switched away from Safari to Firefox, and then to Chrome, and then once Safari got extensions, I kind of came back to Safari, and so it's just another one of those features where it's like it's not quite done yet. It's kind of half baked. Um, so that's kind of my thoughts on that. And then of course, yeah, the other big feature they brought back was they brought back the start menu. Um, which, I mean, it was good. They brought it back. I mean, they obviously redid it a little bit, and it's okay. It's not great. I mean, it's nice. It's good enough. I mean, I don't think the live tiles or anything, you know, life, uh, not life, anything earth shattering or anything that's gonna be really super useful. I imagine most people will probably end up just getting rid of them, shrinking it back down to similar to what they had. Um, the one thing that kind of the is like they still have like the shortcuts from most of the normal places, but what they done, I don't know, what they done with settings like is just, I don't know why. It's like you now have the I guess it'd be kind of Windows 10, Windows 8 kind of settings. You have those settings, and then you still have the good old control panel from Windows 7. Um, and and then you also have the like slide out menu, which is new to Windows 10, and so it's like when you can like change settings and like multiple, and it's just like it can be kind of frustrating. I mean, it's like most of the time when I've been working on like at work, working at certain computers that have Windows 10, um, you know, a lot of times I just go back. I just get back to the control panel because it's like, okay, this is where I know where things are, how to find things, and the other ones are just the slide out panel. I mean, it doesn't have all the settings, but the ones it does, it's fairly simple to find just because there's not a whole lot of settings there. But their new settings panel, I it uh, um, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, like the settings, there's just kind of jumbled and not always the easiest to find. Um, so that's kind of the main features. Now the problem, like I feel like the problems that are they're fixable, and those problems aren't what make uh, in Windows 10 just a debacle. The problems come when you start looking at all the, you know, if you care about, your privacy kind of things that, or, security are they're a huge problem. Um, just from the fact that they just straight up say, in the user agreement that they're going to record, everything that you do, basically. I mean, because they're obviously, I mean, as you kind of, I guess, expect. I mean, with Cortana, they're recording everything that you say. Um, for their, like, the handwriting stuff, they're recording everything that you handwrite. They're tracking everything that you type. Um, it's just, it's why? Um, and then, I mean, then you got like things like if you encrypt your hard drive, they automatically, with their feature, the BitLocker, they automatically upload a copy of your encryption key to OneDrive, so it's up to their server. So they now have your encryption key. Um, if you use, Wi-Fi Sense, um, they're uh, going to, you know, the way they do it is they basically encrypt, a file with, the logon token, um, and that gets uploaded to their servers, and then it's shared with your contacts from their server to them. So if you use that, well, now they have your, you know, all your security information for your Wi-Fi. Um, they basically have like everything, and then um, they're basically use like they put in another feature where basically you know if where it downloads updates to your computer, but then it'll use your computer to you know send those updates to to another person, to see other people. I think they may have said it was just on your LAN. So, and one thing I will say is a lot of these things, like they are turned on by default, unfortunately. Um, but you can turn all these things off. The problem is I actually read about researchers who they set up a Windows 10 machine with you know where all the traffic for HTTP and HTTPS, the internet traffic would go through a proxy so that they could measure how much you know uh, internet traffic was going out in and out from the Windows 10 machine. And even when they turned all the things off, it still was sending some data back to Microsoft. And the other thing that was, I guess, could be a little bit more troubling was the fact that they actually found out that there was some data that was going back to Microsoft, but it was actually bypassing the proxy that they had set up. And so it's kind of like, you set up, security measures and stuff, and it, they're just like, oh yeah, we'll just bypass that. And it's just, it's why, in my opinion, you know, Windows 10 is a debacle. you know, it's, I mean, it really comes down to, how much do you the value your privacy? Um, Not that you necessarily have anything to hide, uh, but I mean, it comes down to how much do you trust Microsoft? Um, because, I mean, yeah, it's like you're basically handing your data over to them, uh, and saying, here, have, have my data, have all my, I mean, because you think about it, like, uh, you think of all the stuff that you go out to access your, uh, all the private, private things, your banking information and, you know, passwords and all that kind of stuff that, you know, in a sense, they have, I mean, in a sense, they have it, keys to the kingdom. And I think probably I mean, on one hand, it's like, it's not like, I'm not sure that they're going to, blatantly go out and do things. Um, but like, I mean, there's a thing of like them handing stuff over to the government, which, you know, the way the government is going right now, I'm not sure it is, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna do anything that's, I'm not doing anything that's illegal. I just don't trust the government and the whole trend of kind of a will tolerate everybody who tolerates everybody kind of an, and just some of the crazy things that have happened. I mean, you look at, you know, you've read of those, absurd, you know, lawsuits, or it's not even really the best argument. Um, but just them being able to kind of hand over your data to them without actually to tell you it at all. I kind of want to have a say. But the other problem I had with, the other problem is on the other side is like, if they're collecting all this data, like, a guy made a point. When I was listening to this other podcast, Cyber Frontiers, was that you're kind of moving to where like the whole like you know viruses and cyber attacks are going to happen, not necessarily hitting your computer, but they'll just intercept the traffic of all your data. you know Everything that they want to know, they'll just intercept it, between, understanding, you'd be like, between your computer and the Microsoft servers, and you kind of just have to, you know, trust that Microsoft is going to protect your data and have their stuff always up to snuff. I don't really. I would rather have things in my hands. I mean, I know I'll make mistakes too, but I'd rather it be me paying for my mistakes rather than me paying for Microsoft's, you know. But yeah, so I think when it comes down to it, I feel like you have an operating system with features not finished, And then you have all of these privacy concerns, which I'm sure you've been reading and hearing all about. And then, of course, you know, happened to catch this article about how Microsoft decided to, while everyone's distracted about Windows 10 and the whole privacy over there, we'll just slip in some tracking tools into your Windows 7 and Windows 8. Um, it's like, okay, well, it's like, oh, thanks. So, yeah, it kind of like took this whole point where it's like, I was kind of thinking, well, I think I'm going to put together and have, a Windows 10 machine so that I can at least keep up to date with what's going on with it and, you know about how it works, problems and stuff that are going to happen with it, to now where it's like, no, I don't. Like, I came really close to where I was thinking about, it's like almost to the point where it's like, I'm just not going to allow a Windows 10 machine on my network. And the more I read about it, I kind of, well, originally I went with that. I was thinking about that because with Wi-Fi Sense, I was like, I don't want, this being shared. Thankfully, I run with WPA2 Enterprise, so that gets exempt from that. The only other way to exempt from it is to, oh, I gotta look this up. You have to add this thing to, yeah, you have to add onto your SSID. You have to add on underscore opt out. It's like, what? Talk about just kind of wonky, crazy. Not the way. Uh, I was like, that's like something you would have seen like 10 years ago. Yeah, would have been just absolutely absurd. And it's like, talk about a wonky way to opt out of something. Um, but if you want to get out of that Wi-Fi sense, which if you have a WPA2 personal setup on Wi-Fi, I definitely would suggest that's what you got to do. Um, but yeah, with Windows 10 coming back with all these privacy concerns and the whole like updating thing. Well, I guess the updating thing probably wouldn't take effect unless I had more than one. Um, yeah, kind of thinking about it again. But I mean, it all comes back to they're kind of going back to kind of this kind of a software as a service where they're giving you the software and then kind of because they're giving away this the update for free, but they're getting you with paying for it through the services kind of part of it. Um, and it's this software that brings all these kind of online services and stuff from. But yeah, so that's why I just think that Windows 10 is just a debacle. But that's the show. Looks like we got one person live. I don't know if it's still IPS Rainbow. Is that still you out there? But I think as that, we're gonna call it a night. I'm gonna go get some food because I'm hungry. But yeah, I promise that's the end of Windows. We'll move on to some other cool projects next week. So till then, save your money. Save money and do cool things and use the resources that you have to their maximum.